What is going on, NPBF fans and coaches alike? My name is Jeff. I am the head commissioner of the NPBF, and we are back for season 20 here in the main league. If you're interested in how our D League is going, please go ahead and check out that video as well. Season 13 draft analysis will be going up the exact same time as this video, so whenever you're done with this, feel free to go check out how D League's doing as well. Really good stuff going on over there. But today we will be going over our main league drafts, and I am not alone today. I am joined with the coach of the Windy City Bolt Strikers and the newest NPBF champion of season 19. We have Anthony this morning. Anthony, how are you doing, buddy?
Oh my god, I forgot I was a newly crowned champion. That's crazy. I'm also the best commissioner that we have, aside from Jeff, of course. I will say.
Thank you.
But I am doing fantastic. I'm so excited about season 20. What a big milestone for the NPBF, I might say.
For real,
What?
This league's been
Six
going
and a
for-
half, 7 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Isn't that crazy?
It's insane. We've been going since like early day, like late. I think like late Gen 6 is when things got started up. And so,
I know,
like,
wild.
That's insane. That like it's just still going strong. We've had some people here from pretty much near the very beginning. I think like a lot of our coaches, are from like the early seasons, like seasons 3, 4-ish, and even before.
Yeah, a lot of them just stuck with us.
Yeah.
And the competition just keeps getting better and better, as you'll see this season. This shit is crazy.
Oh my god, dude. Some of these drafts are absolutely bonkers. I just did a quick scroll through because for me, this is the first time I'm really looking at a lot of the drafts. Because like when you're drafting, I'm not paying attention to what everyone else is picking. I don't really care that much. I'm focused on
Right.
what I want to get. So like now looking at some of the teams, it's like holy shit, this is going to be a wild ass season. I'm very, very excited to get into it. This is going to be a lot of fun. So why don't we just jump right in and get started with our first team, who is a returning coach this season, which is really cool. We got our boy Gav and his Armenian Armor Rouges.
We do have Gab in the Armenian Arbourouges. Of course, his first round pick has to be Qian Pao.
Okay.
Why wouldn't it be?
Mm-hmm.
Gab wants to return and just, be a menace, like he always is. Stalling out draft timer, picking Qian Pao. Just being the worst.
The classic
So
1-2 punch.
he followed up Qian Pao with Ursaluna, Corviknight, Milotic, Monkey Dory, Armorooz, Reggie Drago, Rotom Frost, which is his Terra Captain, Dusclops, Ice Cube, which is also his Terra Captain, and Carbink. Now, the rest of the draft aside, you have to give it respect because it does have Qian. It also has a really good defensive core in Milotic and Corviknight, and then Ursaluna to eat up those electric hits. It does look really good. He also has like a pseudo kind of snow sweeper without a snow center, so that's kind of great. We'll see how that works out, but I definitely like it. I think Gab can do well with it. Did he drafted Armorooz last season, right?
I think so, yeah. Last time he was here, I think he did have Armor Rouge, and he did really, really well with it. And obviously, we got to have that Dusclops in there, the Gav Classic. If Gav is in a season and he doesn't draft Dusclops, he either got sniped really early or he's dead.
It's not him.
It's that simple. Because I don't think there's ever been a season he's been here he hasn't had Dusclops, and he always seems to find new insane ways to make Dusclops crazy. I don't know how he does it, but man's crazy. But yeah, this team's got incredible defensive prowess. Like a lot of these defensive mons work really well with each other, which is terrifying to deal with. And then just having those mons whittle your team down for Qian Pao to just come in and knock down all the rest of the pieces, like that's going to be really scary to deal with. I think like I could see some people capitalizing on the triple ice typing a little bit. I feel like I could see some scenarios where that could potentially bite him in the ass, but I think overall this team's like one of the better teams I think Gav has drafted for us, for sure.
No, definitely. He has had some questionable draft choices in the past, in the nicest way possible to say that. But I do like this draft. I would say, the couple issues that I see are he does have a big dark weakness.
Mm-hmm.
You bring something with knockoff, and it's a problem for him for sure. Like dark and what else am I seeing? Rock, definitely kind of a rock issue too. But
Mm-hmm.
I think in terms of Gav standards, this is a good team, and I'm
Yeah,
excited
for
to see
sure.
what he does with it. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say this is like I would say a solid like B team. Like it definitely has room to improve in some areas for sure, but like it has a really good structure to it, a really good set of bones to like build around and work with that. I think he can make some good use out of.
for sure. And I do like his Terra picks. I've seen Rotom Frost as a Terra before, and it
Mm-hmm.
is pretty good. I think he picked two really good typings for it,
Mm-hmm.
and Fairy and Fire. Obviously, Fire is great because you have the Levitate, so you're only weak to Rock and Water. And then Ice Cube. I'm not sure what Ice Cube does though. I'm gonna be real honest. I'm not sure what it does. I hope it does something. I'm excited. Is that Terra Normal?
Yes.
So we got the Terra Normal, Terra Water, Ice Cube. Obviously, Water for the liquidations.
Mm-hmm.
But not really sure what the Normal's doing.
I'm not entirely sure.
Like a body slam?
I'm kind of curious on that one myself. That one was there were a couple random Terra normals over in D League. There was like one or two that I noticed. I was like, what is happening here? And I like look up their move pools. And I'm like, there's nothing here that really stands out to me. But like, go off, I guess.
Right. Like, I hope you do the most with it.
Yeah, like I mean, I could thinking from a Gav perspective, I could very much see him do something like a a belly drum with Terra Normal Giga Impact kind of
Oh my
nonsense.
god.
Like
Don't give him ideas.
it
No.
wouldn't surprise me if that's something that crossed his mind.
For sure.
We know Gav by now. He does some wacky stuff sometimes, and if I don't see that this season, I'll be shocked.
I'm gonna be pissed now that you brought it up if he doesn't bring it at least once.
At least it has to
Right.
happen once. Just bare
Has to
minimum.
happen once.
But yeah, good stuff, and it's good to have Gav back in the league. He's just a nice comedic presence that's really fun to have around. Whether
Right.
he
When
rubs
he's
it the
not
wrong way or not, he's great.
right, when he's not selling out the draft timer, he's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
All right, moving on. We have Alex and the Greenwich Giratina, one of our fellow commissioners, back for another season, of course. He's packing the Roaring Moon as his leadoff pick, following up with the Manaphy, the Mew, the Entei, Sylveon, of course, Registeel, Hisuian Decidueye, the Drifblim, Kilowattrel, Sandslash, and Muck. Terra captains are the Drifblim with Flying, Ground, and Steel, and Muck with the Poison, Dark, and Water. I kind of like this team, although I'm kind of shocked at the same time. He talked a lot about trying to show how booster energy's busted before the draft, and he only drafted one booster.
He did draft only one booster. And I think he probably would have drafted Iron Valiant if he could have to really show off booster. But I think Roaring Moon was his second. It's a good second option, I guess.
Mm-hmm. For
For
sure.
sure.
Especially getting that boosted acrobatics off of it too. Being able to almost always have boosted acrobatics whenever you bring that booster, that's pretty solid. So not too bad of an option. And I think overall, like the team's really well constructed. I mean, he's got some very bulky offensive beasts with things like the Manaphy, the Entei, the Hisui Decidueye forming a really nice core there. I really like that core. Mew being that like Swiss Army knife Pokemon to kind of just lock in to any team composition he wants to bring and make it work. And of course, the Sylveon. I mean, I don't think there's any human being alive who knows how to use Sylveon in draft as well as Alex does. Cause
Right.
for
It's a
God's
staple
sakes,
at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell me he's gotten it for 16 seasons in a row, and I would believe you.
I honestly, aside from I think the Monotype season, which was I think the only time I can think that he didn't have Sylveon.
Because he wasn't allowed to.
Yeah, like that's you have to literally tie his hands behind his back to keep him from drafting this thing.
From drafting the Sylveon, right?
It's absurd. It's absurd. But you know what? It works for him every single time. It always consistently does what it needs to do. I love the Terra captains. I love Terra Driftblim. Terra Driftblim's really, really cool.
Terra Driftblim is so good. It's honestly one of the best low-tier Terras, for sure. It is such a good Terra captain.
Absolutely. I mean, just the Unburden boost, the very easy ability to set up, and being able to change your typing around your weaknesses as well to kind of get yourself down to that Unburden and counter them appropriately and just kind of clean up the game. Plus, Strength Sap is stupid.
Right.
Whoever at Game Freak designed Strength Sap as a move, I hope you were fired. I hope you were fired.
Fired immediately.
Please remove them from any job ever. And then Muck, Muck's just solid. Muck's just a good, solid, bulky choice. I mean, this thing's very easily can sit in front of most things and just kind of not die. It's kind of ridiculous. And he's got 2 perfect Terra types as well to go along with it, with the Dark and the Water from defensive aspects. I think this is a really, really good team.
Yeah, I like the team too. I think it's constructed really well. He has a lot of strong hitters. Roaring Moon, Manaphy, even Spec Sylveon, puts in so much work.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sweeping potential that Driftblim has with Unburden, Calm Mind, even Flare Boost, which can be pretty okay in certain matchups. The only thing I will say is that Muck being his only toxic spike absorber isn't fantastic, and he's the Terra. So that is kind of the one glaring weakness that I see in this team, is that toxic spikes do go crazy. But I mean, at the end of the day, you could just run 6 heavy duty boosts and call it a day, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. It's not perfect, but you can work around it. And he's smart enough. I think he knows what he's doing, and he's got some decent removal with Sand Slash and Suing Decidueye, which I regularly forget gets defog, which blows my mind. It just feels so random for this mon to get defog when so many others lost it, but
it's true.
It's kind of wild.
Tornadoes, Therian, the giant bird.
Yeah, if this giant bird cannot blow away the fog, but this small standing bird can.
This ninja bird can't? Yeah, right.
Logic not present, but hey, it's Game Freak. What can we expect?
And then in terms of type weaknesses, he's pretty set. I don't really see a huge issue.
Yeah.
I would say the biggest one, probably Ice.
Yeah, I was noticing that as well.
Roaring Moon, Kilowattrel, Driftblim. I mean, Driftblim can Terra, though. It's not a big deal. Decidueye. But everything else, I mean, it seems pretty good. He has good removal options. Mew being an amazing hazard setter. Is right there, so is Registeel, so Mew isn't kind of locked into that every week. And even Sandslash gets rocks, right?
Yeah. I think it gets spikes now, too, which is even better. And Muck does get toxic spikes, too, yeah.
Holy sh! I didn't
so he's got a lot of hazard options here. It's really, really good.
Yeah, a lot of balanced options for sure. I would definitely give this probably an A minus. I think.
Yeah, I was thinking a solid A. There's aside from that really big ice weakness that I think he has the tools to kind of work around it. I think overall, this is just a really, really solidly well-built team. I don't really have too many major issues with it. And as I look more at it, I like it more and more the longer I stare at it. So I think this is just a solid A team, very easily. Gonna be a top contender as per usual.
I agree. I think we'll be seeing it in playoffs. That's just my very early predictions.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, Alex making playoffs is one of those things you just kind of accept as an inevitability most of the time.
He does it somehow. I don't know how every time, but he ends up getting there.
Absolutely. All right. Next up, we have another coach, one of the goons, coming in for another season.
We have Jesse with the J-Dog Jolteon. Is his name Jesse? I feel yes. I really went for that. I was not 100% confident.
You were on it. You got it.
Okay, great. Okay, we have Jesse and the J-Dog Jolteons. And for his draft, he went with Walking Wake, Deoxys Defense, Heatran, Slitherwing, Galarian Weezing, Tornadus Incarnate, Glastrier, Sableye, Mismagius, Leafeon, both his Terra Captains, and Mabostiff. Now, is this So it's not a Sun team. He just wanted Walking
It's
Wake.
just a Sunless Sun team. It's
It's a
literally a
Sunless
Sunless Sun
Sun
team.
team.
He's got the
That's
Leafeon. He's got the Slitherwing and the Walking Way with the Proto. He's designed to be a Sun team without getting a Sun Setter,
Right,
like
without
an
the
actual
setter.
Droughter. So he's gonna have the
But
manual Sun with like Tornadus, or I think Sableye gets Sunny Day
and
as
yeah,
well.
I think that's probably why he drafted the Sableye and the Tornadoes, because both have Prankster Sunny Day. So, I mean, which are good options. It's not like a bad option for a weather team at all. So
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like he has the Heatran, which fills his fire role pretty well, and like I feel like Torkoal or Ninetales, he didn't want to double up on that. Plus, like the way we set things up in the tiers, we wanted our weather setters to be pretty expensive. So I think like he kind of played around that a little bit and be like, I don't really want to waste a higher tier pick on one of these mons that's like literally just here to put Sun up on a regular basis. Like I don't want to waste a higher tier pick on that. So let me just get some lower tiers that can just do it manually and go from there. I think that that's a solid strategy to go with. Kind of budget his points appropriate or his tiers appropriately. I think that worked out pretty nicely.
no, I agree. I think when you're doing weather, I think a lot of people kind of get stuck in this mindset of, like needing like an immediate setter.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that can kind of get you stuck into like one very specific play style. But a team like this can operate in so many different ways. It doesn't need Sun to perform, which I
Yeah.
think is really cool. It can perform well, uh, either in or out of Sun, and he can bring Sunny Day, and he might not even have to use it. So I think like having the option there is really cool for this team, but it doesn't need it at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of times, like Tornadus and Sableye, like 9 times out of 10, their move pools or their move sets for most matches, you don't need like all 4 moves in some cases. Sometimes you're just kind of trying to find a filler move that can kind of provide some support or something in there. So for this team, it's literally just going to be like your typical 3 moves you might want to run, like for Sableye, like a Will-O-Wisp, or like a status move, recover, taunt, or whatever, and then pack Sunny Day as the 4th. Same thing with Tornadus, like give it like a solid stab move, maybe U-turn, maybe like a Tailwind or another support move, and then Sunny Day as an option as well, and then just that's all he really needs. And I think that'll work perfectly for this team. It should be really, really solid.
Yeah, I agree, and I think he has some great defensive option. Deoxys defense and Heatran. Excuse me. Yeah.
It's gross. It's really gross.
Yeah, that's diabolical. That's a real tough one to break through. To be so honest with you,
Weezing as
Deoxys
well
defense
helps
and
that core
yeah,
really nicely. It's
and the Garn Weezing.
I think that core that core 3 is going to be really, really, really difficult for a lot of teams to break because they all kind of like they form a nice little triangle covering each other's weaknesses incredibly well across the board. Like that, if you have something out that can kill Weezing, it can't kill Heatran, and vice versa. Like it's going to be really, really tough to break that trio alone. And like they're just going to be able to whittle you down with Magma Storm chip, with Deoxys's S-Toss or Nightshade chip, Weezing just being a nuisance, just tossing around Strain Steams and Sludge Bombs, and by the time you finally break through 1 or 2, in comes the Walking Wake, in comes the Slitherwing, in comes even the Glastrier in like certain scenarios, and just bowls you over, and it's game over.
Yeah, I think that the Slitherwing Walking Way combo super super good. They cover each other like what they can't break pretty well. Especially like if you ran like a Scarf Walking Way Banded Slitherwing. Banded Slitherwing is crazy.
Oh
I
my
have
God,
it
yeah.
in a different league. That thing is insane. So both really good options, and then even I mean, I know we didn't allow Terra on Glacier, which is very fair,
Oh yeah.
but it's still really good. It's still massive attack stat, and he does have the Trick Room option as well. I think I might be talking out of my ass. Pretty sure he has Trick Room.
I think Deoxys sets up. I think Deoxys does get Trick Room, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
so
I'm pretty sure.
If he wanted to run the Trick Room, he absolutely could. Glacier is amazing at Trick Room. And I also really like his Terra Captains. Miss Magus, one of the best, for sure. I'm surprised he didn't pick the Fairy. He went with, is that Dark and Electric?
Yes.
Yeah, Dark and Electric. Two very good Terra typings, though, for sure, for it.
Yeah, Dark's perfect defensive Terra typing for it. It covers everything that it's typically weak to, so it works beautifully. And then obviously Electric, to get that 0 weaknesses going. You can't really go wrong with not having a weakness on a Pokemon.
Right, right. And then Leafeon with... Is that another normal?
Yes, but this one I
what
think
is going on here?
This one is actually somewhat common. I've actually seen this run on Leafeons a lot. And
is it really?
Yes, I've seen it run on Terra Leafeons a lot. It's a mixture of, like, it gives it an extra really strong move to click in Double Edge, or in certain scenarios, they typically like to run Terra Normal with Last Resort to be able to have that doubled speed in Sun with that boosted Last Resort in going through and just wrecking things. I think so that might be something that's crossed his mind with that one. So I have seen that before, and that does make some sense to me.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize that it got like Double Edge and shit like that. But yeah, that'll be definitely really good. I don't think I've ever seen a Terra Normal Leafeon in draft, but that's actually definitely exciting. Swords Dance. Does it get Facade? It gets Quick Attack though, for sure.
It does get Facade. It does get Quick Attack. It
does it get both? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's got the Double Edge. It has Body Slam. So many different options that can like really just power through a team.
Yeah, I think like in terms of weaknesses, everything looks pretty good from what I can see. It doesn't have a rock resist, which I will say is kind of like the biggest thing that I'm seeing. Yeah. So like rock moves are super free against it, because Leafeon's not. Wait, does grass even resist rock?
Nope.
Am I crazy? No, yeah. So yeah, no rock resist. So you can just come in and click Stone Edge and call it a day, and then flying also kind of an issue, and then ghost spam also kind of an issue for him. Just like you're throwing out spec shadow balls from something, kind of hurts a lot because there's no.
When your best resists are either forcing yourself to Terra into Miss Magius, forcing yourself to Terra Normal the Leafeon, or the Mabostiff, like that's not particularly ideal, especially when most of your team aren't really great on the Spadef side. I mean, like Slitherwing Spadef, if I remember correctly, isn't great, and like Weezing's obviously isn't good either. And then when your bulkiest Mons being weak to it, like just spec shadow balls from something are gonna really, really rip holes through this.
It's definitely gonna.
It's a really good thing we don't allow Fluttermane.
Oh my god, that would be a nightmare and a half for sure. But I think all of his picks are super solid. Even the Mabostiff can be super good. And I'm like, if he wanted to trade that for his Terra Captain for maybe Leafeon if it's not working, still an amazing Terra Captain with like Fairy and I don't know, what else do you run? I didn't even think about the next one. Fairy, you can run Poison too if you want.
Poison works pretty well for it, I think.
But Mabostiff really good as well, so I'm excited to see what he does with this. I think it's going to be really cool, really hard to prep against, again, because of the Sun options that he has. You always keep that in the back of your mind. But yeah, really good team for sure. I would definitely give it probably an A-.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. A- is exactly what I was thinking. Because like it's so good. Like it feels like there's a few areas it could improve in just a little bit, like a slight tweak here or there, but like nothing that's like super serious and bringing the team down. And like you said, that potential Sun aspect where like you can go the entire matchup and not see it, but you have to be prepared just in case. And that's terrifying in a lot of scenarios. So I think this team's going to catch a lot of people off guard with that, for sure.
I agree. I'm really excited for it.
All right. Moving on to the final member of the Bolt division here. This is Cece, and her new team name, the Saratoga Snoms. Hate the team name, personally. That's just my personal distaste for the little cum stain.
Ooh, wow!
I hate Snom.
It's fair.
It's one of the. I just think it's ugly and overrated, overloved. it doesn't deserve the love that it gets. I stand by that firmly. I've been anti-Snom since day one.
It does look real nasty. I agree.
Thank you. I appreciate the validation. I need that. Everyone's always against me. Everyone's always fighting me on this. I needed that desperately. But Cece comes back with what's becoming her Sylveon in this situation, the Sneasler. Following that up with the Iron Crown, the Hisuian Zoroark, Ribombee, Vaporeon, Talonflame, Flygon, Serena, Knacklestack, Electrode, and Thwackey, with the Serena and Knacklestack being Terra Captains. Serena's got the Grass, Ice, and Water, and Knacklestack is rocking with the Rock, Ghost, and Steel typings. Very, very CC team. Like, I feel like a lot of these things we've seen her have either in D-League or, like, in prior... I think last season she had a couple of these dudes as well. Like, overall, I think, like, this team's very much just, like, a lot of staples.
Definitely. She has her two Sylveons and Sneasler and Zoroark, Hisui, which both very good, work very well together. They form a great offensive core. And then you throw something like Iron Crown in there, which can do so much. Like, people just think, it's just weakness policy, Calm Mind, Sword Power, but that thing can run Assault Vest, you can run a bulky set, it can do a lot, and it is super scary. Iron Crown is one of those mons that I'm, like, really kind of worried about, because it is super strong.
I personally used it in another league as well. It is insane. I brought an Assault Vest one, and someone tried to pull, like, it was a Natdex league, too, and someone tried to pull, like, the Iron Defense, Calm Mind, Stored Power, Tapu Koko nonsense against me, and Iron Crown just said no, and just sat in front of it, and was able to just kind of, like, stall it out, and eventually was able to beat it in the long run. I was like, it's nuts. It was at, like, +4 defense, plus, like, 3 Calm Minds, and it was doing, like, 25% to Iron Crown with Stored Power. I was like, this is nuts. This mon was not planned to stop a Stored Power Tapu Koko today, but here it is just doing it for fun.
Yeah, Iron Crown can definitely be like cleaner, sweeper, breaker, defensive backbone if you needed to. It is really versatile.
Yeah,
and great typing as well with the special steel stab and tachyon cutter, which hits twice. Right? Am I crazy? Yeah, super good. She also has webs with Ribombee. Which she doesn't need because she has great speed tiers, I will say. Her fastest being Electrode, and then Talonflame at 126, I'm pretty sure. Ribombee 124, Sneasler 120 with the Unburden, so she's great speed tiers. So just kind of putting the cherry on top with the webs is great for her.
Pretty much guaranteeing, like, there's a lot of matchups where she just gets to run Modest Zoroark, Adamant Sneasler. She might not even need the Unburden. She can go with the Poison Touch kind of thing. She can run, like, a Modest Iron Crown. She can basically just run all the attack-boosting natures most of the time and not really have any issue with that, which just means her damage output's going to be a lot scarier to deal with for most of the season.
100%. And, like, a Sash lead Ribombee with webs, Bug Buzz, Moonblast. It's hard to deal with. I mean, that thing takes names. It's really strong, and then you can just throw Quiver Dance on there for no reason because you just can.
Because if you get the right lead situation and, like, they're just too pressured to attack or go into it, you just get a free QD off, and then, like, now what? It's just kind of whatever comes in is not going to appreciate whatever you're throwing at it. So
it takes a massive hit, and then you still get webs up. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's not like typical, like, web setters where you can just lead with like a fake out mon and fake it out, because that shield dust blocks the flinch from the fake out. So, like, you can't even break through this Sash webs lead as you would with most others. It's just really, 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 really scary to deal with for sure. This team's going to be really, really threatening for a lot of people.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Sneasler's so good. And we allow Dire Claw, right?
Yep.
I should know that. Yeah, so Dire Claw being allowed, it's so hard to deal with. I mean, you have to kind of run a Covert Cloak Mon if you don't have a really good steel type to deal with it. And then she does. I will say I don't love her defensive options. Her team is very offensive. It's giving very hyper offensive kind of situation. But she does have Vaporeon, which obviously can Wish Pass, Flip Turn. Vaporeon's great. I love Vaporeon. And then it has the Talonflame, which can also run a defensive set with Will-O-Wisp and Roost. But other than that, like, I mean, Serena can run an Assault Vest set. Knacklestack obviously Yeah, Eviolite. I mean, you know if that thing comes, you know what it's doing.
We all hate
It's
it.
just gonna sit there and be obnoxious and
All my
Terra...
homies hate Knuckle Stack.
Right, we hate Knuckle Stack with the Terra Ghost and Terra Steel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, that's great. Terra Ghost Knuckle Stack, wild. The thing is so hard to deal with
Yeah.
the Salt Cure, with the rocks. But
it just sits there forever. It's such a hard bond to break through. Not being able to status it. Again, please fire whoever came up with Knuckle Stack at Game Freak. Please get them out of here. They're not allowed to work in anywhere ever again. Just stop. This thing shouldn't exist.
And then the sleeper Thwacky pick, giving a grassy terrain option, which is really good for her team, I'll say. You know, I'm sure, I don't know if Sneasler can like eat an earthquake even after grassy terrain, but it does give Sneasler the unburden option.
Mm-hmm.
And then it helps with Knuckle Stack, I guess. So I do like the Thwacky pick as well.
Yeah.
Both her Terra captions are really good. Serena's great. I really love Serena. I think Serena's like a super slept on pick and draft.
Mm-hmm.
But it can do so much, like running Assault Vest, Power Whip, Rapid Spin. It's really good. And then I will say, what are her rock options? Just Knuckle Stack? Flygon?
I think Flygon did get rocks this gen, yeah. I think
I don't know if Iron Crown gets it.
I'm double checking now.
But not too many hazard options other than...
It does not get Stealth Rocks.
Yeah, so a couple rock setters. You got the big web setter and Rabombi, but I don't think anything else gets spikes. I mean, other than Knuckle Stack might get spikes. No,
just the rocks.
Yeah, just the rocks, and then not. I mean, Sneasler being your toxic spike absorber, not great because you really want that thing to be like the offensive backbone of the team, but. This is why we have heavy duty boots, right? This is why they gave it to us. So.
Exactly. Game Freak knew what they were doing with that item. They were like, listen, no one uses these things in VGC. This is never going to come up for most of you, but like, here you go. These things can be annoying, I think. Maybe. And all singles players at that moment heaved out a massive sigh of relief.
In terms of weaknesses, what do we see here? What do I see? I think that we do have another kind of ice problem.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. A freeze dry with, ice type that gets freeze dried, hit Vaporeon, will definitely be a problem. And then I think that flying kind of goes a little bit unchecked as well. But other than that, I think that CC's like defensive typings are pretty good.
Yeah.
I can see Dark being kind of an issue too, but it's pretty
Dark
solid
looks
overall.
Really, really scary actually. Yeah, Dark looks really, really good here, especially like your best switch-ins for Dark being Rabombi, who's not particularly the bulkiest, and your Sneasler, which again, not exactly known for being tanky.
Right.
Really, really strong Dark type with like some coverage to maybe catch one of those guys on switch-in. Like that's gonna put a lot of issues on this team for sure. Definitely a problem. But like her offensive power is crazy. Like there's so many things can win in the end game. You have the Gale Wings, Talonflame, the Unburdened Sneasler, the setup Iron Crown, even the Zoroark. Like all of those things can win in the end game. So. Like if CC gets you there, the odds are ever in her favor, or whatever they say, because her offensive options are crazy, and the Electrode. I mean, we didn't even mention the Electrode. Yeah, I mean the screens options that provides for this team with like a bunch of different setup options as well is right. It's just the icing on the cake. Yeah, I would definitely give this team I'd probably give it an A. I think it's a great team. Yeah, which is wild that we're giving so many A's so early, but like, man, I mean, this just goes to show the power up in main league here nowadays is absurd. Like everyone knows what they're doing and drafts so well. Right, I remember we were giving out B's and C's, and now it's just all A's. What happened? It's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And the fact that we have to prep and play against like most of these all season long is going to be nightmare.
It's so unfortunate.
Oh man! All right, that concludes the Bolt division. Let's move on down to the Boulder division. We have
We have the Adelaide Arbolevas, and I'm so sorry. I'm so bad with names. It is one of my biggest weaknesses as a human being. We have the Adelaide Arbolevas, who first round.
Jason,
there you go. It's
Jason.
Jason.
The Goat.
Jason the Goat. He's great. He has Iron Bundle, Jirachi, Gliscor, Primarina, Lycanroc Dusk, Noivern, Virizion, Jolteon, which is his Terra Captain, Quillfish, Hisui, Pyroar, his other Terra Captain, and Banette.
I really like this team.
I do too. I think this team is pretty scary, I'm not going to lie. Iron Bundle, I've had Iron Bundle in the past. If you hit Hydro Pumps, that thing's crazy. And we allow booster energy, so, like, special attack, booster, Iron Bundle, crazy.
That's going to be gross. It's going to be gross. Getting that special attack boost without having to run a choice specs or anything on it, that's going to be really, really terrifying for a lot of people to deal with. I think the speed on this team is looking really, really nice. He's got like a very, very balanced speed tiers all the way down. It looks really, really good.
Yeah, super balanced. He has the Iron Bundle, which is his fastest at 136, and then Jolteon 130, all the way down to Primarina. Primarina being his slowest is like not not the worst thing at all.
That's not bad at all. Your slowest is base 60.
Right.
We take those. We take those absolutely every day of the week.
And then he has
really well constructed.
He has great pivot potential. He has the U-turns, the flip turns. Does Primarina get flip turn?
Checking on it now.
Am I crazy?
I feel like in my brain it should.
Why,
it does.
Yeah, why wouldn't it? It does. Yeah. So he has great pivot potential at being able to get in that Iron Bundle. Even that Gliscor, if it's offensive Gliscor can go very scary, very fast. Specs Noivern, and then his defensive options are great. Obviously, Gliscor, Jirachi, super good defensive options if he chooses to run him that way. And then he has the Quillfish Hisui, which runs Eviolite, Intimidate, which is super good defensive option.
Oh yeah, it's insane, especially with only having one weakness. That thing is very, very hard to break through a lot of the times, and it just gets to set up hazards pretty much for free in most matchups. It's going to be really, really scary to deal with.
Yeah, it's super hard to take that out in one hit before it ever gets up a spike or something like that. And then obviously he has the rocks options in Jirachi. And does Gliscor get rocks?
Yes, and spikes. Okay,
cool. And get spikes now? Yeah, Gliscor is going to be crazy this season as well. And then the Iron Bundle paired with the Lycanroc Dusk, super good.
Oh yeah,
that's going to be a really hard offensive core to deal with.
Yeah, because Bundle puts out so much damage, and then Lycanroc having access to that stab, crazy strong Accelerock, it's just going to be cleaning up all of Iron Bundle's messes. If Iron Bundle's only knocking you down to like 15-20%, Lycanroc can probably clean that up really easy,
really fast. And then two great Terra Captains. Jolteon, obviously, I feel like it's a staple Terra Captain every season. Someone's going to pick it because it's just so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your fast electric type that can Terra is always such a good option. It gets Calm Mind, Substitute. It can do a lot. It can run so many different options. And then Pyroar with the Fairy and Grass. Yeah?
Yeah.
What kind of grass move does it get?
I mean,
obviously Terra Blast. Obviously Terra Blast.
I think it does have access to Trailblaze now, which is kind of fun, because, getting that extra speed boost with the extra buff, kind of go Terra Grass for a defensive option against a water type, get that get that Trailblaze boost up, and then you can beat over it with like Terra Blast and stuff afterwards. I think that could be really, really interesting to see.
Yeah, Terra Grass for a fire type is always very good. It flips your weaknesses. It completely flips the weaknesses, so it's always a good option just to have there. And then Fairy is, I mean, if you don't know what else to pick, you just pick Fairy because it's so good.
Yeah, it's one of the best defensive typings in all of Pokemon, just straight up. Like, it's one of the best typings ever introduced in the game. Like, Fairy is probably, like, half a tier below, like, Gen 1 Psychic types at this point. It's so unbalanced in terms of, like, how it was designed. It's insane.
In terms of weaknesses, I think everything is really balanced for sure.
Yeah.
But I do see another rock problem. He has how many resists? He has 1 resist in Virizion and then Jirachi. But that's it. And I mean, usually rock types get the coverage for Jirachi, and then Virizion's not really the tankiest Pokemon in the world. So yeah, rock is definitely could be a problem, but
you would think, but Virizion actually like shockingly has a
really?
bulk to it.
Am I crazy?
It's 91 HP is not bad. 129 Spadef. I mean, its defense kind of sucks. It's 72, but like,
I guess it does
fully
invested.
Resist, right? It can work its way around that. I think.
Yeah, I mean,
it can do the job.
An okay option, but I think this team is really good.
Yeah.
I might just go on a whim and say this is an A+ team. It does have every option you would need. It has great pivot potential. It has a good toxic spike grabber getter in Quillfish.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has great setup potential, wall breaking. This is a really good team.
Yeah, honestly, I absolutely agree 100%. I think this is just an incredibly well constructed team. The issues that it has, the very few issues it has, like it has ways of covering for it and working around it, like incredibly well. I think an A+ seems perfectly fair. I mean, Jason puts together some really good teams a lot of the time, and this is just another solid example. So like, kudos to him, man. You know, he always makes himself seem like NPBF's #1 fan, and I love that. And he's been the one who wanted the content back, I think, the most out of anyone. And you know what? I'm happy to bring it back to you, man. This is good stuff. And
we did it for you, Jason. We dedicate this video to Jason.
Absolutely.
I hope you win this season, Jason.
I would be down for it, except I want to do it myself. Just saying.
Right. If it's not us, it has to be Jason.
Exactly.
Sure.
I'm down for it. On to our next one of our promotions from D-League this past season, and just so happens to be the man running the show, one of the men running the show now. We have Alan and his Lancaster Lycanrocs rocking the Terapagos, Scizor, Salamence, Conkeldurr, Swampert, Decidueye, Azelf, Doxbun, Luxray Terra Captain, Houndoom Terra Captain, and the Illumise. Very, very, very interesting looking team here. I'm feeling some ways. It's definitely
feeling some ways, for sure. I would say that's kind of like the biggest issue. It doesn't have like that high speed tier that you really want. His fastest is Azelf.
115. Then he drops immediately down to 100 with Salamence, and then like it's balanced. It's somewhat balanced a little bit from there down, but it's not great.
No, I mean, below 100, I mean, it's fine, for sure. I mean, he has 2 95s, Houndoom and Dashbun, I believe, are 95. He has Terapagos, which is 85. So below 100 is great, but he doesn't really have a webs option to make up for it, to slow it down. But he does have really good defensive options, though. Like, for being a slow team, it is a super defensive team. It is pretty hard to break through. With Terapagos being that backbone. Terapagos is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people, I think, sleep on it because they immediately think, like, oh, I can't terrasilize it. It must be bad. But, like, no. It's just... It's a normal type, so it has, like, almost no weaknesses. And, like, it has... it's a built-in super multi-scale, which is insane. That Terra Shell ability is nuts. Like, I utilized it recently, and is insane so the amount of things and freedom I had just tossing this thing out there, clicking, like, Power or Meteor Beam, or something along those lines, and boosting myself up like crazy and just going off. Or getting off a Rapid Spin with it, which again, like, I found out this thing had rapid spin after drafting it and, like, prepping for week 1. I was like, what the hell? This thing can spin? Who
it's a
forgot
turtle,
to
it
tell
just
me?
spins.
Like, it made sense in my brain. Like, in theory, I was like, I mean, it should have rapid spin. It makes sense. All the other turtle Pokemon have rapid spin now, but, like, come on. Like, it just feels weird to have this, like, big, insane super turtle just be a hazard remover. Like, that's amazing. That's... It's so good. So good.
Terapagos really is, like, Mew 2.0 without the recovery, but it trades the recovery for removal options and rapid spin, which makes it such a great sweeping option because it has literally every coverage under the sun that you would need.
Yeah,
it's like impossible to prepare for. You just kind of got to hope and pray that it runs into 4 move slot syndrome and it just can't cover one of your options. But if it can't cover one of the options, he has Scizor, Salamence. Even Azelf is super good with the what is it, Mystical Power?
Yeah, Mystical Power is broken. Mystical Power
is crazy. Getting the is it a guaranteed boost or is it a 50%?
I think it's really high chance. Like I think it's at least 50.
Yeah, I want to say it's 50. To boost your special attack.
No, it's 100% chance to raise your special attack.
See, it's crazy. It's insane.
It's just disgusting. You can't. Right. If you don't bring a dark type with you, this thing just clicks like a Specs Mystical Power for...
Right, Specs or Scarf?
Yeah, crazy. For like all of its PP, and you probably have already lost the game at that point.
And you just lose, yeah. It's such a good cleaner.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And I think overall, like, this team, while decently slow, I think it has some good potential to it. I think it has a lot of really good tools. Some really solid priority options as well, like Shadow Sneak from Decidueye, Bullet Punch Scizor, Mach Punch Conkeldurr. Like, despite the fact that he's lacking in a lot of the speed areas, I think the ability to kind of bulk out these hits, smack back really, really hard, and have the priority to finish it off afterwards, I think is going to be enormous for this team.
For sure, and I think, like, his defensive backbones are kind of unconventional, but they work really well together. Mm-hmm. with the Scizor Swampert kind of core he's got going on, and then add the Dashbon and Terapagos with it. Things can take hits and then dish them right back out. Especially, I'm looking at you, Conkeldurr. Okay, I'm looking at you because that thing with an Assault Vest is kind of crazy.
Oh my god, yeah. It's one of those mons that, like, you look at, it's like, it's going to be bulky, but it tends to get underestimated. You're like, oh, this surely will kill. And then it just lives with, like, way too much health, and then Drain Punches you, kills you, and then all of a sudden it's back, like, halfway to full, and you're like, well, I'm fucked.
Right, if you don't kill it in one hit, you have to stack something. I mean, that's just kind of the problem with it. And then Salamence, obviously great. Dragon Dancer, it can run special as well if you needed to. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about these Terra Captains. Houndoom and Luxray, 2 dogs. Okay, he's got the double dog. Is it Luxray? Can we consider Luxray a dog?
I mean, I'll consider Luxray a dog for this one. I think it's typically, okay. I think it's supposed to be like a lion, like a big cat, but I think we'll rock with dog.
I think we can rock with dog. Luxray is kind of sick. It has, what does it get? Intimidate, and then Guts?
Yeah, Intimidate and Guts is really, really good. This is actually, I was talking to him about this too. This is the first Terra Captain he wanted to do this season for sure. Like, he was like, I don't know what all I'm gonna grab, but, like, guaranteed, like, Luxray is one of my Terra Captains this season for sure, because I just see it being absolutely nuts. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I can't disagree.
Yeah, I mean, really the only thing holding it back is its speed tier at 70, I think.
But it has Trailblaze now, so, like,
right. It has the speed boosting option there.
Yeah, which is crazy. And, like, all 3 of his Terra types are perfect. Like, obviously he has to have the electric for the stab. Like, having access to, like, Supercell Slam now as well is a, in my opinion, much better physical electric option than Wild Charge. Right? Yeah, so you're not killing yourself trying to break through a team. Ice, obviously, is just perfect for any electric type. And then having that Terra normal for the
Is there
facade.
Something I don't know?
I mean
I feel like I'm out of the loop.
Guts, Facade, Terra Normal, just like there's not a lot of things that want to take that hit.
I guess that one's a given for sure.
And Houndoom, I know this is like I think he got sniped like once or twice on something pretty early on, and so he's like, oh well, not going to be able to do that, so I'll just grab Houndoom again. He used Houndoom in D League, and that thing was an absolute monster for him.
Houndoom's really good though.
And it was so good. It was so good.
Because it gets Nasty Plot, it also gets Trailblaze, I think.
Yeah, and he utilized Trailblaze a lot in D League, and it was, I mean, Houndoom was always like solid. I mean, Fire plus Dark Cover just kind of like hits most things. That's why Chi Yu's broken. So like the fact that Houndoom exists as like budget Chi Yu, and it can now just boost its speed up as well, kind of for free. It's pretty terrifying. It's pretty devastating.
Yeah, I never looked at it as a budget Chi Yu, but that's a perfect way to put it, because it really is. It just kind of comes... You can run specs, too, if you really want. Like, specs, boosted Dark Pulses. It hurts. It's not easy to switch into for a lot of teams, for sure.
Yeah, Houndoom's a beast, and I'm really excited to see him utilize it up here in Main League. Just be an absolute menace for everyone.
Let's see. In terms of weaknesses, what do I see? I think that flying could potentially be a problem. His only resist is going to be the Lux Ray. It does have Intimidate, so it can kind of pattern down those brave birds. But if something comes in with a Hurricane, it definitely hurts.
Yeah,
it's not easy for his team to switch into that. And then I think Fairy is kind of an issue. He has the Scizor. But Fairy does look actually kind of really good against him.
Yeah, good. A really strong Fairy type spamming like a Specs Moonblast or even like Banded Play Roughs are gonna like really rip holes through this team.
And then the only other two I can see is like kind of an ice problem. Scizor really being the only Scizor and Houndoom being the only resists, and then another rock issue. I would say another rock issue for sure.
I feel like I don't know what it is about Rock. I feel like no matter what, like when you build a balanced team, like I feel like Rock just stands out as just one of those offensive typings you're just not going to be able to fully cover no matter what. I think every draft I've done, no matter how balanced and like well put together it looked, that whenever I threw it into my dock for building, it would be like, oh well, Rock is one of the typings that's in the red here. All right, that's of course, the standard. Every other typing could be perfectly covered, and it's just Rock is, it's one too many weaknesses. It's like, what can you do?
And this is why I made it to playoffs with my mono Rock team. I was so sad about having, and then it actually was really good because Rock is a great typing.
It is. It's so strong offensively. It's really hard. I mean, most Rock types have the Edgequake combo, and like, there's like almost no mons in existence that can properly switch into an Edgequake combination by themselves. It's almost impossible.
Yeah, and I didn't mention the Illumise, but I'm not even sure what it does. It gets two really good abilities in Tinted Lens and Prankster, but I don't know if it got any like setup moves or any like additional like stab kind of options.
I'm double checking. I don't see anything setup wise.
Does it get Moonblast? Or am I thinking?
It does have. You are thinking Radical Red. It does. It does have Dazzling Gleam and like Draining Kiss and stuff. They just decided not to give it Moonblast for some reason,
which is insane.
Like whatever. Like just give it the one other thing. Like
okay, yeah. I guess we don't need to mention Louise.
Yeah, I think it could provide like some decent support though. Like trick sets. It can Wish Pass, which is This is the first time I found out that Illumise gets Wish.
It gets Wish?
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of insane,
It's got Tailwind as well, which is kind of cool. Tailwind, Wish Pass, have fun kind of situation. That's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I hope it brings it at least once.
Yeah, and I could also see it being like an anti-weather tech as well. Like it gets access to all the weather stuff as well.
Oh,
too.
true,
so, like,
yeah.
You're coming up against that like one of the sun teams that exists, or if you're coming up against something like that, or like a snow team, and you just say, "I'm gonna bring Illumise," and just say no.
Actually, haha, I'm gonna set up the opposite weather.
You're not allowed to have fun today. Only I am. I think this team has a lot of potential. I think this team could do really well. I know he got sniped a lot, so I feel like it ended up hurting his team a little bit as time went on. It is what it is. Draft part. It comes with the territory of draft. Let's be real. If you haven't been sniped in draft, you haven't been drafting.
Right.
I think I think it's a solid like B. I can see B plus team. Like,
I would agree.
I think it's like it's just about there. It's not. It's good, but it's not quite there yet. But I think I could see this team going pretty far.
Yeah, for sure. I think like the biggest issue is like not having the T-Spikes absorber.
Yeah.
But he does have great removal options. Tropicos it's just so bulky it can run heavy duty boots pretty much every week. So it's not a huge deal, but yeah, I definitely think B plus is a good spot for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, another commissioner rocking through.
Rennie, it's Rennie. He is the
boy.
17-time champion at this point or whatever.
Something like that.
Some bullshit.
Lost count.
He's washed up now though, so guys don't worry about him. He's washed up. He's lost all his sauce. But maybe he'll bring it back this season because he has a pretty good team. So he has a Dragapult, Keldeo, Iron Treads, Amoonguss, Glamora, Florges, Rotom Heat, Braviary, Rhydon as a Terra Captain, Oranguru, and Sliggoo Hisui as a Terra Captain as well.
It's a very Rennie team. It's a very Rennie team. That is one thing I will say. This feels very, very Rennie setup.
Right. I mean, and Rennie was first round pick, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I think he was first off. Which,
yeah, so I mean, you have to grab Dragapult.
Like, yeah,
I mean, it's a no-brainer option. It's literally probably the best mon in draft aside from Iron Valiant. So
yeah, I think that's pretty much like one of those like universally accepted facts. Like Dragapult's just that good. Like,
right, if you have the option to get it, you may as well just get it. It can fit onto any team so well.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's about as close to a perfect Pokemon as possible. If they ever gave this thing like an actual physical, proper ghost move, like,
yeah, it's over.
It's over. It's game over. This thing would be banned for the rest of time.
It's out of here.
No shot. They had to nerf it with just Phantom Force, and like that doesn't even feel like much of a nerf half the time. If you do,
no, it doesn't.
Because like, okay, I have to run Phantom Force. I have a Dragon Dance up. Do you have a normal type left? No. Do you have a dark type left? No. Well, guess what? Whatever you bring in is dying. So whatever. Switch around it. Have fun.
Yeah, and I mean, even just a Dragon Dart's so strong if your Fairy type's dead.
Yeah.
Fairy and Steel type. Not many things can swap into a +1 Dragon Darts.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
It also has screens, right?
Yeah, actually it does. Yeah, that's the craziest part. Like, it fits whatever role it wants to do. It does anything it wants to, and there's nothing you can tell it about it.
I mean, you can run double status, Hex, U-turn, and it could be super viable against certain teams. Dragapult's just so good. But okay, enough glazing Dragapult. Because there are definitely other really good Pokemon. One being Keldeo, which is something I did want this season, but my other first option got sniped, which I wanted to pair with Keldeo. But Keldeo is super good. With its access to... It got... What did it get? I know it got really good things.
I know it got Flip Turn now, if I remember correctly, which is absolutely gross. Like,
it got Aura Sphere too.
Yeah, so like you have that proper fighting stab to click against things without having to go for like the Focus Blast. You know, Secret Sword can only go so far. So like, yeah, having Aura Sphere is kind of gross. It's just I'm annoyed that it got so much. It feels like it got exactly what it needed to be like.
Right.
Infinitely better.
Calm Mind Keldeo is super strong. It's really scary, really hard to prep for if your mon's not healthy to deal with it. And then Iron Treads, so good. I mean, a spinner, a rock setter. It's super fast for what it does. 106 base speed. And then, it can run Steel Beam, it can run Offensive Set. We do have the booster energy allowed, so I think that opens up the amount you can do with it so much.
Absolutely, yeah. And having access to, like, Volt Switch and stuff, too, just to keep him with the momentum on his team, like, that's going to be really, really devastating for a lot of people to deal with, because it feels so random, but, like, man, like... You get hit with a Volt Switch from Iron Treads, not only do you feel bad about yourself, but, like, you immediately feel... even further on the back foot than you already were. It's so tough.
Where is this thing throwing out electricity from, and why is he leaving the field?
Just electrical snot at this point. It's just flinging out little electric boogers.
Right, but his first 3 mons having just great options to get in, get out.
Yeah.
Flip turn, he has the flip turn, U-turn, bolt switch core right in the front.
And he pairs that beautifully with like Florges for Wish Pass and like Amoonguss
with Regenerator. Yeah.
It's disgusting. It's really, really well put together. Rotom with its volt switching as well it pairs really beautifully with all of that. Like those 6 mons combined could come to every week, and like I feel like he would have a good chance. Like people could know those 6 mons were coming to every matchup, and like good luck with that. Like, are you beating it? Probably not.
Oh, for sure. This is as balanced as a balanced team gets. Between Amoonguss and Rotom Heat, great defensive core. It's super hard to deal with that. And then you throw in Florges on top of that, which is really good. Being able to, run Calm Minds, Wish Pass. And then 2 really cool Terra Captains, I will say. Rhydon, being able to hold that Eviolite, and then Terra Water with the Lightning Rod. Honestly, kind of sick.
Oh, it's clean. It's very clean.
It's honestly kind of sick. I'm excited to see what Rhydon does this season. And then Sligo, Hisui, can also run Eviolite. And so he has 2 Eviolite Terra Captains, which are really good.
Oh, yeah. Sligo's so fat. Like, that mon's insane. Looking at its defensive stats, 83 defense, 113 SPDF. Like, that's insane. With the immunity to grass as well with the Sap Sipper, or just being able to run Shell Armor and not be crit. Like, that's kind of disgusting. It has access to things like Acid Armor and stuff, too, so it can just boost up and, like, never die. That's, like, ew. Just, no. Please stop.
And I think, like, if you really don't have a lot of good options to pressure these walls that he has, it's going to be super hard to take this team down.
Yeah.
Like, between the Amoonguss regenerating and then the Florges wish passing, you're going to, a lot of games are going to come down to just having to outplay Rennie, which is not an easy feat to do by any means.
No. The few of us that have somehow pulled it off over the years, the few of us that have, picked up those solid, like, convincing wins against Rennie, like, you had to fight for that shit.
Right.
You had to earn that. You had to be on your best day, playing your best, prepping your best to get those kind of wins off of him.
Right, when you beat Rennie, it feels like you just won, like, the NCAA championship. Like, it's so exciting. But guys, I promise,
you want someone to come through and pour Gatorade on your head. You want someone to, like, pick you up on their shoulders. You need the full 9 yards for all that. Like, it's solid stuff.
And then, we also kind of skipped over Glamora, but such a great setter. It has every option under the sun. It gets the free toxic spikes if you hit it with any physical move. So, and he's not even locked into bringing that every week, because he has other good options to set hazards. He has the Iron Treads, which is great. Rhydon can also set. So, he has really great options. I would definitely give this team, I think this is an A+ team for sure. I don't really see many problems with it.
I agree completely. Like, Rennie is usually known for, like, having a pretty dog shit on paper team going into the season, and then just, like, somehow pulling it out of his ass, making playoffs, and, like, being a proper threat, because he's just built different. But, like, I don't know what it is about this team. Like, he's coming to this season cooking, for sure. Like, the fact that you can just bring the combo of Dragapult, Keldeo, Treads, Amoonguss, Florges, and Rotom Heat every single week, and, like, not have an issue, like, that's just a perfectly balanced team by itself. Adding in the fact that you have the ability to slot in a Glamora, slot in a Braviary, slot in a bulky ass Rhydon. Even the Oranguru can do funky things, because Oranguru exists. It's fun. Why not?
Yeah, it gives a cool trick room options too with Rhydon if he ever wants to do like a really cool sweeping Rhydon set with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good options.
Yeah,
I like the team a lot for sure.
It's really, really good. I agree with the A+ 100%. This is probably the best team Rennie has ever drafted, and I'm terrified of it.
Yeah, it's really good. It does have a couple weaknesses. I would say like grass, ice, and water. But Rennie knows how to play well enough to deal with those weaknesses. So I don't really think it's going to be a huge deal for him.
Yeah. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be definitely fine for sure this season. It's Rennie, what can you do? And like with a team this good and Rennie's skill level, I think this is going to be This is one of his better seasons for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one.
Maybe this is championship number 5. Maybe he finally gets to retire.
No, he's not allowed. But guys, we can't make it happen. He has to stay here forever.
Alright guys, quick aside on this one. This does not change the rating of the team. It is still going to be an A, but 2 more transactions were made by Rennie in the last minute. He was supposed to make them a couple days ago, but I guess either he forgot to click send or he just forgot to put them through, but he made them in on time before week 1, so that I wanted to update his team appropriately so that you guys can see exactly what he's working with going into the beginning of the season. The only changes is he dropped the Oranguru for Weirdeer. I do like Weirdeer a little bit better than Oranguru. I think it still does a lot of the same things that Oranguru does, but I think it does them a little bit better. I think he has a little bit more room to work with. It's a little bit more powerful as well. And then he swapped the Hisuian Sliggoo for the Glaceon as Terra Captain. He swapped that mon out completely. And Glaceon as a Terra Captain is pretty good. Terra Fairy is a good Terra type for it. Terra Dark, I'm kind of intrigued by that one. I'm surprised he kept that. I think I would have swapped that out for sure, for like a Terra Water or something, but that's like neither here nor there. And then Terra Ice obviously is what it has to have, but Terra Ice is really all it needs, honestly. It's a really, really strong Ice attacker. He's going to be clicking some strong Blizzards. He's going to be clicking some strong Freeze Dries. I believe it does get Freeze Dry, yeah. Really, 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 really solid Pokemon. And honestly, it still keeps his team at a solid A ranking. I think this is still a really, really good team. So, that's going to be all. Back to the video as scheduled. Well, let's see if our next coach, the final coach of the Boulder Division, will be able to help us do that. Odds are probably not. Jokes entirely. Jokes entirely. Ken, we love you. We got Ken and Whoop That Tricks. With his 100%, this is a Sun team. With the Great Tusk, Iron Moth, Hisuian Gudra, Torkoal, Hisuian Lilligant, Galvantula, Hatterene, Terra Captain Quagsire, Quillfish, Terra Captain Tropius, and the Volbeat. Well, Volbeat and Illumise in the same division. Hold on, that's kind of crazy. That's honestly, a little bit wild. What are the chances? Yeah. That feels strange to me. That's kind of hilarious that worked out that way.
Yeah, we found out where the Torkoal went. That
Jesse was sorely missing.
Yeah, that Jesse kind of lost out on. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good team. It's kind of an unconventional Sun team, but it does really well in Sun with the Iron Moth. Iron Moth is so good.
Oh my god, yeah, it's insane.
Iron Moth is crazy.
Iron Moth with Sun plus access to booster so it can activate its Quark Drive as well. Like, that's going to be insane.
It's going to be really good. And then he has the Lilligant Hisui as well, which is really good in its own right, especially in Sun, with the Victory Dance option. So it's going to be pretty scary to deal with.
For sure, especially because I can see situations where, like, he brings it in Sun, he gets a kill or two, he smacks some things pretty hard, and like Sun's about to run out, and he clicks a Victory Dance to close it out, and then like now he's still sweeping, he's still killing you. He doesn't need the Sun anymore. He's just ready to go. Like, that's terrifying.
Yeah, and it's a team that can work super well out of Sun too, because it's pretty unconventional. He doesn't need to have the Sun to be sweeping with Moth or Lilligant. Because he has great options, and Galvantula for Sticky Web. Great Tusk is just also one of the best Pokemon in Draft, for sure. Being able to Rapid Spin, set rocks, booster energy, it can run offensive sets, it can run Assault Vest, super good Mon. Mm-hmm. And then pairing that with Gudra Hisui, which so bulky, so fat. It's so hard to deal with.
Oh my god, yeah. The amount of times this thing just got free sweep wins because it got up an Iron Defense or something, like, very easily, and just kind of like set up in front of whatever it wanted to, and just body press its way through a team is disgusting. Like, I think it happened like 3 or 4 times in D-League last season. Alan had it on his team, and he just kind of like ran over people with it. Like, it was disgusting. He just kept doing it because, like, there were some teams that just couldn't do anything about it. Like, I've set up an iron defense, and you can't phase me or break me. Have fun. I'm just gonna sit here and kill you.
Right. It can get out of hand so fast.
Yeah. It is the ultimate snowball Pokemon for sure. If you do not take this thing out or stop what it wants to do immediately, you're done. It's
definitely. Over. And I will say, the team is definitely slow. I mean, as fast as Mon is Iron Moth at 110, so definitely missing the higher speed tiers that you would want. But we do have booster energy allowed, so Iron Moth can get that +1 in speed.
Yeah.
Great Tusk can spin. So he has options to deal with it, and he does have the webs, which is always really good for a slower team like this. He has the webs option.
Yeah, especially with having the Sun 2 for Lilligant as well. Plus, he just has the Trick Room option with Hatterene as a potential.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that too, which is really good.
Like he's got a couple different modes this team can run into, and all of them it can do particularly well.
Right. The only thing I will say is like his offensive options. Once you really got to protect that Iron Moth and that Lilligant, because outside of that, if those things fall. A lot of teams aren't really scared of what a lot of the rest of the team has to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel like there's a lot of very passive members. Like Quillfish is fairly passive. Quagsire is incredibly passive. Like, you lose those offensive options. This team just kind of gets whittled down and beat over pretty easily.
Yeah, I think he has great defensive options, though. The Quagsire with the Terra, really good. Unawareamon. Quillfish with the Intimidate. He has the Hatterene, which is great. Gudra Hisui, Torkoal. He has a lot of great defensive options that he can bring, but I think the thing that this team is missing is another one or two super scary offensive options.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think this team definitely has potential. This team can definitely do some good things, but it's one bad prediction, one bad roll on an attack away from losing all of what is moving it forward.
Right. I am super excited to see what Tropius does in the Sun, though, as a Terra Sun Sweeper with
I think it's going to be really wild.
Chlorophyll and Solar Power. I think it's going to be pretty cool to see with the Terra Flying, Terra Fairy, and Steel?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steel. It's going to be really cool to see. So if that thing could go... I mean, it's not... It's a Tropius. It's not the strongest Mon. Okay.
Yeah, we're not expecting it to, change the world, but man, I fully expect this thing to,
I think it'll be cool.
Catch someone off guard in a matchup and, really punch holes through a team out of nowhere. It's going to be nuts. Throwing
off air slashes and solar beams, leech seeds. Yeah, I think it'll be pretty cool to watch. But I think I would give this probably a B+. I think it has really good options.
Yeah.
But what it's lacking is that offensive pressure. Not super weak to a lot of things. I think the most glaring problems are Psychic, and then that's really it. Psychic, Ghost is pretty unchecked as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are really the only things I would say. Definitely has a problem with, and ground. I would say ground is also an issue.
I was. That's why I was leaning a little bit more towards B, because I do see a couple glaring weaknesses I feel could be exploited and used to kind of break through this team pretty quickly. And obviously, the lack of too many solid offensive options is not ideal. But I think overall, this team has a lot of potential, and I think Ken will do decently well with it. He was very excited about getting Great Tusk and doing what he going ahead with this plan. He really wanted to do this Sun Core from the very beginning, and he was able to get it together. So hopefully it's something that he's very comfortable with and can utilize really well.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the ideal Sun Core, but it is a Sun Core that I hope to see him utilize well, for sure.
It is the Sun Core of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ken, hopefully you'll pop off this season. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I'm hopeful. Keep you out of that bottom two, because I like having you around. You're an interesting man. I appreciate you. But now that is going to be it for our Boulder division. Onward to the Crown division. Wonderful looking division. I think it's the best looking division of all of them.
Best
Personally,
looking by far, for sure.
just like, there's some clear carries in that
I
department.
mean, just call it the fucking hottie division.
What can you do? It's.
Oh man.
I'm not saying we got a few hard carries in here, but we may be holding it up pretty solidly, but it's pretty good looking division. Yeah,
Definitely a good looking division. Not to be biased or anything, of course.
No bias whatsoever.
No, not at all.
I
totally
think
objective.
we're starting this off with the Denver Dondozos, another goon making his return. David is here with the Golden Go, Alolan Ninetales, Tinglu, Halucha, Gyarados, Incineroar, Araquanid, Male Indeedee as a Terra Captain, the Magneton, the Altaria, and the Marini. Magneton also being a Terra Captain. He's got the Terra Psychic, Fairy, and Fighting on the Indeedee, and Steel, Fighting, Flying on the Magneton. This is a solid team.
No, I definitely think it's a really good team. Golden Go, so good. I mean, it's an immunity, it's a spin blocker, it's super strong. It has the nasty plot. What's the fucking move where he throws the coins? What is that?
Make it rain.
He makes it rain on everything.
Whoever at Game Freak came up with that, I hope you were promoted.
I
hope you were promoted.
Yeah.
Just the fact that there's a move in Pokemon that's called Make It Rain is hilarious, and I appreciate you to no end.
He deserves the salary of everybody else who we think needs to get fired, for sure.
Agreed.
He's a goat.
Just wire all the funds to that man's account. He's fine. He's earned it.
And then Ninetales Alola, so good. I mean, you don't even need a snow-centered team to draft this Mon, because it's so good. With the Aurora Veil, the Nasty Plots, throwing off that strong Fairy Ice Stab. It's really good. You really can't go wrong with Alola Ninetales. It pairs well with a ton of Mons on different teams.
Yeah.
And then he has one of the best specially defensive walls in Tinglu. I would know. I had it last season on my my championship team. I am very familiar with what this thing does, and it's really hard to deal with. It can be a super mega wall that is really hard to break through.
Absolutely. Tinglu is insane. It's so unbelievably bulky, and like paired with some of these other Mons on this team, it's going to be insane to break through this team. Tinglu paired with like double Intimidate with Gyarados and Incineroar rocking around, like that's going to be insanely difficult to deal with. Paired also with the Aurora Veil from Ninetales, that's going to be gross, and all the setup potential that comes with that,
for sure,
as well. This team looks like it's primed to, like, Veil goes up and something wins. It doesn't matter what Mon it is, something's gonna win.
Like the Halucha can set up then, I mean, even the Ninetales can set up behind Veil, Golden Go, Gyarados. But I will like to say, like, Tinglu and Araquanid, go combo. That's a go combo. That's so insane. Good, actually.
That's so good.
That's really cool. I like that combination a lot, actually.
Yeah, that's going to be insane to break through, and like the web's potential with that too. Oh man, this team is nuts. This team is nuts.
And then he has the Psychic Terrain for Halucha Unburdened Sweeps, which is going to be super good. And then Psychic Terrain blocks priority, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not a huge issue for him.
Everyone goes for like the grassy terrains or electric terrains for Halucha to sweep in, but I honestly personally think that like Psychic Terrain is probably better, because you want people to not be able to click priority against your like double speed unburdened sweeping beast to finish you off. Like that, you want that to be the scenario. You don't want them to be able to like catch you with a bullet punch or a quick attack or something like that out of nowhere. Like you want to be able to just win the game from there.
I mean, Halucha getting up Swords Dance behind screens. I mean, there's not really much I can do with it. I'm going to be so honest. Yeah. I mean, unless you are lucky enough to have one of the 3 unaware Mons, there's really not much I can deal with it. That's going to be a hard thing to check if it gets going. Incineroar is super good. Definitely not just a VGC Mon. Intimidate, Parting Shot, knockoff. It's really good. Incineroar is super good in draft.
Yeah, it's crazy good natural bulk. It's got all the tools to just constantly be a nuisance to most teams, and there's not a lot of things that can particularly safely deal with it, because, like, even your best switch-ins, you don't want to lose your item, you don't want to get hit with the parting shot and then be immediately, like, neutered against whatever else comes in. Like, no matter what, like, it's kind of hard to deal with this thing 1v1.
Yeah, and his defensive options are really good together. Goldigo, Tinglu, Incineroar, Araquanid being like the main backbones, but really, really hard to break through, being centered around that Tinglu.
Also got some other good hazard options. He has the Toxic Spikes with the Marini as well. That as like as a background option. Like it's not ideal because obviously it's a Marini. It's even with EVLite, it's not particularly going to be tanking too many hits. But just the fact that he has those Toxic Spikes, and that's something you have to consider going into the matchup, is definitely a huge issue. And Altaria is very, very annoying. I've seen Altaria do some stupid stuff. Like, there's no reason why Altaria should be as good as it is.
Right, why is it so bulky? No business to be that bulky.
Yeah, and then, like, if this thing gets a Cotton Guard off, like, good luck. Have fun trying to break it.
Might as well just shoot myself.
Yeah, honestly, you're better off.
But no, if he gets hazards up, it's so hard to remove him. I mean, like Tinglu, you're pretty much guaranteed to get a spike or two and rocks up because it's so bulky, and then you can't remove it. Goldigo stops any sort of removal, so unless you get rid of it, there's really no getting rid of those hazards. So I feel like that's going to be something that.
Yeah, I think this definitely a huge issue. Like this team's gonna hazard stack and just kind of win the game from there. Like it feels like it can handle the long game and it can handle a quick, easy sweep game. It can do either one, and I don't think it'll struggle in either way.
Yeah, I think it kind of has an electric problem, but I mean it has one of the best answers in Tinglu, so I wouldn't even really say it's a huge issue. And then it has the rock weakness as well. So I mean, but obviously we talked about that. A lot of teams are gonna have a problem with rock, but I definitely think this is a solid A team. I think.
I absolutely agree. I think this is just a really, really good team across the board. I don't really see any real issues with it, like that super stand out. I think his Terra captains are good. I think this is a really, really good team. There's a lot of different routes that it can take in team building every week, and there's not a lot of teams that can particularly deal with them.
Yeah, I think it's good, and I'm excited to see what he does with this for sure.
But with that, I think you should talk about this next one. I might be a little biased, but
I think this next person might be a little bit biased. This is, of course, the head commissioner himself. This is Jeffrey's team. He has the Archaludon, Zapdos, Meowscarada, Suicune, Arcanine Hisui, Donphan, Hoopa Confined, Toxicroak as one of his Terra captains, Regice, Alcremie as another Terra captain, and Furret. Now, what was the thought process behind drafting this team?
Okay,
tell me what was going through your head.
I mean, number one, I knew I wanted to use Archaludon. I've seen how insane this thing is, and like how many different routes you can go with it in building. Just like the different options you can go, how easily you can optimize its EV spread to kind of like just tank anything it wants to while still being able to kill everything back. And so, like, that was kind of, like, the main, starting point. And then, like, Zapdos pairs beautifully with it. Completely covers all of its weaknesses as an amazing switch-in for it. So, like, those two kind of paired together beautifully. And then from there, it was just kind of, like, trying to build out my cores as best as I could to maximize, covering my team's weaknesses, covering as many of, like, my options as possible, trying to keep a nice solid balance between like special and physical offense. I try to keep as much of a balance across the team as well as possible. And like when it came to the Terra captains, like I knew when we were tiering and stuff, I was like I definitely wanted to grab Alcremie. I've used Alcremie in the past and it has done decently well for me. And so being able to use it as a Terra Captain here, I thought would be really solid. And then Toxicroak as well. It was something that just stood out to me. Like, I see a lot of potential in Toxicroak. Just, it hits like a truck. It's a really strong mon on its own, and being able to Terra around its weaknesses, I think, can really, really add to how strong this mon can be. I think overall, I think the team came together pretty much exactly how I would have envisioned it. Like, I think everything works decently well together. I think, for the most part, the things that might have glaring weaknesses, I think I have things that can cover them appropriately. And I think overall, I think the team is solid. I think the team turned out exactly the way it should have.
Yeah, I think the team is really good. Archaludon, I was shitting on Archaludon. just for insight for everybody. I really didn't think it needed to be tier 1, but I hope Jeff proved me wrong. I hope I can see the power and impact Archaludon has. I mean, I know it's a good mon. Okay, I know it's a good mon. Steel Dragon, amazing typing, stamina, great ability, crazy special attack. So I know it can do good things, and I hope to see you do great things with it. But I think you built around it really well, with the Zapdos obviously being a super good pairing with it. You have the Suicune, you have the Donphan. I think your team does really well. I mean, I will say, Jeff, you're kind of lacking in speed tiers, but I think it's okay. Yeah. Your fastest mon being Meowscarada at 123, and then we dropped down to Zapdos at 100, and then Arcanine at 90, and then down from there. But you have a ton of threats. I mean, Meowscarada can do a lot of different things. It can be a lead spike setter. It can be just a banded offensive set. All very good options. Suicune, I mean, you know what Suicune does, right? Calm Mind, Rest, just ridiculously insane, obnoxious things that it does if you're not prepared. And then banded Flare Blitzes and what's the Head Smash? Head
Smashes, yeah.
From Arcanine. I mean, it's so hard to switch into that. I mean, there's very few things in Pokemon that don't get 2-hit KO'd from it. So, and then even Hoopa Confined is super good. I'm so glad we did not allow it to Terra, because it would have been busted. Yeah. But Hoopa Confined in itself is really good. A super strong special attacker. And then your Terra captains, Alcremie, I'm really excited to see what you do with Alcremie, because I was a big proponent of not letting it Terra, because I think it can get out of hand really, really fast. It really has great options for Terra. And then Toxicroak, really good too. I think Toxicroak is actually really good for your team, being able to Terra. It covers a lot of what a lot of other things don't want to swap into and deal with. So yeah, Jeff, I think you're drafting a really good team. You don't really have many weaknesses. I think that, what do I see? I think Fairy could be a problem, but you have the Arcanine. I mean, the Arcanine is really your only Fairy resist. And then fighting could also be an issue. You have 3 resistances to it, but then you have a lot of weaknesses to fighting. But there aren't really a ton of great fighting types out there right now in current draft, so I don't really think it's a huge issue. And then I think ground is the only other thing that I see, but I definitely like this team a lot.
Thank you, I really appreciate that.
And then you have what kind of removal do you have? You have Donphan for removal. I don't think Zapdos gets defog. I'm not crazy, right?
Unfortunately, they took defog away from Zapdos, which is a bit of a dagger.
Which is crazy, because giant bird. So what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. But I also I got Tidy Up with Furret, which is fun. I was mad CC sniped it from me last season, so I was like, as soon as I had the opportunity to snag it this time, I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it. I want this stupid little thing on my team. I want to have that Tidy Up option. Because if I can get a Tidy Up off, clear some hazards off, and potentially snag a kill or 2 with a Furret,
right?
I'm going to demoralize whoever I can with it.
No brainer.
That's the goal.
Yeah, so I mean, Donphan being your only kind of, it's not your only hazard remover, but it's. I'm not going to say Furret's good. Okay, you're not going to trick me to saying that. No, Donphan is really your best viable hazard removaling option, which is kind of like the only thing that I would say is kind of an issue with the team. But you have great hazard options. Archaludon gets rocks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Archaludon gets rocks. You have the rocks in Donphan, Arcanine, Hisui. Doesn't Regice get spikes? Or am I insane?
I wish it did.
Am I crazy? Okay, maybe I'm crazy. But even Regis is like pretty good. I think Regis would have been a great Terra captain. I will say.
I definitely considered it. I knew Toxicroak was going to be one of mine from the very beginning, as soon as I snagged it. But like, it was very much a toss up between Alcremie and Regis, and like, that might be something I change later in the season, just depending on if I can get Alcremie going at any point in time. So it's going to be a toss up, kind of see like which of my Terra captains does the best for me, and like maybe I'll give Regis a shot, because definitely I 100% agree. It just with how bulky it is, I see a lot of scenarios where that thing could just never die if I Terra it out of its ice typing.
Yeah, it's super good. So I think that I would give your team a modest. I would say AA minus, but you
That's
definitely
fair.
have a solid team for sure.
That's fair. I appreciate that. I was expecting no A pluses, but I'll take an A. I'll take an AA minus kind of range.
Yeah,
That works for me.
I mean an A minus from last season's champion. I mean, it's nothing to sweat. You know what I mean?
How can I be upset about that?
Right.
Speaking of last season's champion, since we've gone over my team, we'll skip over the next team for now, so I can go ahead. We'll bounce back to him in a second. I'll go ahead and I'll give a look at the Windy City Bolt Strikers.
Oh, are we on to mine? I'm so excited.
Led by the coach of the former Chicago Blizzards, the most recent champion. Let's see how he set himself up for a back-to-back, potentially.
Potentially?
We'll see. We have the Latios, the Titar, Tornadus Therian, the Excadrill, Slowbro, Pheasantipity, the Regieleki, the Arboliva, Magmortar, Dusknoir, and Cryogonal. Arboliva as a Terra Captain with the Grass, Electric, and the Fairy, and the Magmortar rocking the Fire, Fighting, and Ground. So, as you did for me, as it's only fair, what was your thought process going through with putting this team together?
So I was the wheel pick at the end of the snake. So I had to have kind of a couple plans going into it. What I really wanted to draft was Raging Bolt Keldeo, but both of them got taken. So I had to go with my backup plan in going like a kind of pseudo Gen 6 Sand team. As soon as I saw Excadrill, I was like, you know what? I think Sand would be so fun to do, because I've never done Sand outside of Monotype. So I thought having Weather would be super fun, and I think there was just a lot of great mons in every tier to kind of hold that backbone together. I think that... So my first picks were Tyranitar, Excadrill, had to get my Sand Core right there. I mean, I'm sure Tyranitar wouldn't have been taken, but I just had to get it. I just had to get it.
Absolutely. If it's a core you want to use, and you have a feeling like it might not last all the way back, especially in the wheel pick kind of situation, like, like, yeah, maybe it could have made it back, but you weren't getting both. You might have gotten one, but you're not getting both of them, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, Excadrill is super good. I think it's definitely definitely justifications for it as a round one pick. It gets rocks, it has mold breakers, sweeping potential, hazard removal. Excadrill is super good in draft now. And then Latios was my last pick. Which is hilarious, I think, because Latios is going to be so good this season. And it pairs well with everything I have. It gives me a ground resist, super strong special attacker to pair with Tyranitar and Excadrill, Tornadus to be just kind of like a really good pivoter, and then add to the regenerator core of Tornadus and Slowbro. Regieleki to just be really fast and hit things. And then I really like both my Terra Captains. I think Arboliva is going to be really good for me, being able to kind of to put up the grassy terrain to kind of lessen the earthquakes if I need to. Also, Harvest is super good. I think Arboliva is actually a really strong Terra Captain, which I'm excited to use. And then Magmortar as well. Like, I mean, that thing just nukes. It's really hard to swap into a Magmortar.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, like, I 100% agree. Arboliva is insane. Arboliva is so strong. I think it's super slept on. I think a lot of people look at it as like, oh, it's this early route grass type. Like, it's not like big of a deal. Like, why would I worry about this thing? Like, dude, like you're sleeping, hard sleeping on this thing. This thing it's a lot bulkier than people think it is,
especially with Terra.
It hits so hard,
yeah,
and can just very easily just sit in front of people and like never die. It's insanely strong, and like Magmortar, is a crazy strong nuke. You got that crazy regen core with Torn T, Slowbro, that's going to be super annoying to break through. The Sand core, which can clean up most games. Latios, especially with like flip turn and stuff now, which whoever's idea it was to give Latios flip turn, you're insane.
I love you.
Like,
I love that person.
It's absolute insanity. It's borderline like criminal insanity. Like that shouldn't have happened. And then you have like a lot of cool like other fun stuff with like the Pheasantipity, that toxic chain, potentially running beat up, like getting all those chances to get the toxic poison on things. Like that's going to be annoying. That's going to be so annoying. You're going to be spreading toxics everywhere, which is nuts to me. That's even a possibility. Like toxic chain is a gross ability. The Dust Noir, it's just solid mon, and then Cryogonal, I mean, it's pretty solid removal, and freeze dry is never a bad thing to have. Cryogonal is amazing, but I think Cryogonal is one of the best, like, cheap mons to snag in any draft.
Oh, it's so good, for sure.
It's so insane. So I think, honestly, this team's crazy. This team's absolutely fucking cracked. Like, this is going to be one of those, like, teams that a lot of people are going to look at and be like, what the fuck do I do against this? Like, I do see a bit of a ground weakness, although you do have a lot of things to cover for that. You've, like, Arboliva helps with that. You have the double levitate. You have the flying type with the Torn. So, like, you do cover for it really well. Speed-wise, I mean, you got Drill and Sand. You got Latios at 110, Torn at 121. Regieleki at
who cares about speed when you have Regieleki, right?
Regieleki at like 3,000 speed or whatever the fuck it is. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I think this team's insane. I think this team is stellar. I really just I have no issues with this team except the fact that I have to play against it. Like, that's my issue, is I have to fight this team at some point, which I do not want to do.
I mean, I hope I can bring my vision to life. I think it's a really good team. It's just kind of like, it just comes down to how I play with it. I think I have a lot of good options, though. I have the screens with Regieleki. I have, I have good status options, hazards.
Really good removal across the board. I think, like, overall, this team is just insane. This team's nuts. This is an A+ team. Like, I don't even have to think about this too much.
Jeffrey, I'm blushing.
Listen, what can I say? Like, I gotta give credit where credit's due, and this team's fucking insane.
I'm so excited to use it this season.
I'm excited to see you use it, and hopefully, like, not, be gentle with me. Please be gentle.
I can't go too hard on the head commissioner. I like my job.
Oh, good. Because if you 6-0 me with this team, I will fire you. What? Did I say that out
loud? Speaking of last season's champions, or rather not champion, we have the Shelly Brooms, who came in second last season. I did beat them in the finals. I know they're salty. They're ready to get the win this season. And I think they have a good team to do it with.
Story of my life that I end up in the division with.
I know.
Last season's champion and the runner-up. Like, that's just the story of my entire life. Let's be real.
Right. I mean,
I can never have an easy division.
Whatever coin flip thing you use, you need to get a different one, because it has it out for you, for sure.
I do. I get screwed over every time.
So he went with Landorus T as it was actually his last pick. He got tier 1 last, but he has the Lando T, the Raging Bolt, Rotom Wash, Screamtail, Duraludon, Ninetales, Venusaur, Rhyperior, and Avalugg as his Terra captains, and then Murkrow and Morgrem. And I think this team has super good options. I think he picked Raging Bolt first, which was definitely a snipe of the century. I was really disappointed that it got lost from me, but Raging Bolt's super good with those super strong Thunderclap priorities. And then Lando T obviously used to be the premier round 1 pick in draft, but it's still super good. It has, it's Intimidate, ground type. It can do offensive. It can set hazards, be defensive, and then pairing that with Rotom Wash, super good core, kind of tried and true. And then the Screamtail. I hate Screamtail, man. Screamtail.
So annoying. It's so annoying. It does, like, no damage, but doesn't have to. It just sits there. and it just pisses you off. It just sits there, stares at you, those big old buggy eyes, and just annoys you consistently.
It's so stupid.
It's like when Devin pops into the chat, and it's like,
Yeah.
God, just shut up.
God,
Jesus
leave me alone.
just don't talk to me. God damn it. Oh, I hear you speak, and I want to claw my ears off.
Oh.
Fuck.
But Screamtail pair, but Duraludon honestly slept on, I think. Eviolite, and it can run like the same. It can run Rocks, Roar, Flash Cannon, and Draco Meteor every game.
Yeah,
and it's so good. It's so fat. It's really
this is a
strong.
mon that should not have been given access to Eviolite.
I think so.
Like,
it's really
Duraludon
stupid.
was a good Pokemon before. Like, it was just a solid Pokemon. Like, it wasn't broken by any means, but it was consistently good. Like, it consistently did something. It was good at what it did. It clicked buttons. It hit hard. It was solid. And then they decided to give it an evolution and just let it have an Eviolite and become like so much bulkier. Like, it used to run Assault Vest because its Spadef was so crap. Now you get to run Eviolite
Now it just
and not have to
Eviolite.
run
It's
all attacks.
broken.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
And it's one of the best phasers. Like for the point value. Like, it can just it always pretty much lives a hit and just roars.
Yeah.
And then it's Stealth Rock. It's really good. And then he has the Sun option in Ninetales Venusaur, which is also really good. Venusaur with growth, it can definitely pick off the rest of a team that's like hobbling and dying and just call it a day.
Yeah, this team's really, really strong. I love his Terra Captains. I love the Rhyperior pick. With
I'm
the
excited to
Solid
see
Rock,
Rhyperior, yeah.
Solid Rock plus being able to Terra is like a crazy good combination.
Also,
I remember I advised someone to do like Camerupt as a Terra Captain in the past because of that exact same reason, and it was incredibly hard to break because you know not only are you changing your weaknesses or limiting your weaknesses, but like now you're dealing with something that's gonna tank those super effective hits even better. Like that's
it
crazy.
turns into like a pseudo Ting-Lu almost. And then another water type Terra with Lightning Rod, very good, of course.
Yeah, really strong stuff.
Avalugg, such a good Terra Captain.
Yeah,
it's so bulky, and then because the thing that's limiting Avalugg is its ice typing. You get rid of it though, and it's so good, especially with the fairy in the water.
All it needed was to not be an ice type.
Be an ice type, right?
One of the craziest mons alive,
and then it's fantastic.
Yeah. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So I'm blown away by it. It's a good team. I hate to admit it. I hate to admit it because all he ever wants is for me to tell him I'm proud of him, and like I don't want to. I just don't want to. I refuse. I can't do it because then it'll make him happy, and I just can't live in that world.
No, we can't see him happy.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I cannot. I can never tell him I'm proud of him. I can't do it.
Never.
I won't.
He'll never get it. I do think, speed tears aren't great. His fastest mon is Screamtail at 111. But obviously he does have the Chlorophyll Venusaur, but that's kind of dependent on if he brings it. I think Sun is pretty dependent this generation. Like, it does have really good matchups, but a lot of matchups it doesn't, especially when his only Sun option is Venusaur, I think.
Yeah.
Question mark? Yeah.
Well, he does have the Photosynthesis with the Raging Bolt.
With the Raging Bolt, too, which is going to be crazy.
Which...
Raging Bolt is so good.
Screamtail is going to be so fat in the
It's going to be so hard to deal with.
It's going to be so much harder to break.
Yeah. I mean, even if it wants to run like a Calm Mind sweeper set, that's going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
He might not even have to bring Venusaur.
That's the most terrifying part, and I hate it.
And then
week 1.
He has the screen options with Morgrim, which is another Eviolite user. Really
Murkrow
unfortunate.
With the Tailwind.
Yeah. 2 Prankster mons at that.
The double Prankster Eviolite mons to close out the team there at the bottom. Like those things are both incredibly annoying and like perfect support mons for this team as well. Like lacking in speed, alright, Murkrow, just set up a Tailwind real quick and there we go. Problem solved.
Right.
We want to set up and sweep. All right, Morgrim, get those screens up. Easy peasy, but now we win.
Yeah, and every mon really covers weaknesses well. I would say the only thing that I'm seeing is like a potential ice problem, but again, there's really not many great ice types that like not every team is going to have an amazing ice type. There are amazing ice types that got drafted, but not every team is going to have one. Yeah. So it's really not really a huge issue. So I think that this team does really well in covering weaknesses. It has great status options, hazards, removal. Does Run and Wash still get defog, or is that not
No, it
happening
does
anymore?
not, unfortunately.
And then
Neither does
Lando doesn't get it,
Lando.
right? Yeah. So what? So
His
is it
removal
just
is
Avalog?
Murkrow. His removal is Murkrow and Avalog.
Okay, so I mean, Avalog's pretty good, but I mean, being forced into bringing one of those every game, it could be potentially a problem. But again, we have heavy duty boots for a reason, so I don't think it'll be that big of an issue. And then, yeah, I mean, you have Rotom Wash, which is a Levitator. You have Landorus, which so I mean, I don't think it'll be a huge issue. His team isn't super overall weak to hazards, so I think it'll be fine. But I definitely think. Am I crazy in wanting to give this an A plus?
I don't think you're crazy. I just don't like agreeing with it.
Maybe
I don't
let's
want to
give
tell
it
him he did good.
maybe let's give it an A just to keep his ego down.
Keep him humble.
I would definitely put it in the same category as as a fuck. What's his name? Who's the coach of the Dondozos? I'm so sorry, everybody watching this. David. I would definitely put it in the same category as like a David team. I think. Yeah. Like they kind of mirror each other, and and they're both really good teams. I think.
Yeah, we have a terrifying division. The
Crown division is what did we do to deserve
gross.
This?
Me exist. You be really
existing
good.
too. Yeah, right. We just kind of deserve it.
You won the championship, and the randomizer said, "All right, fuck these guys."
Right, and you're just you, so it hates you anyways.
Yeah, it's the story of my life. It is what it is.
Yeah, this is gonna be a bloody fight between all of us for sure.
Absolutely, but I'm looking forward to it for sure. It's gonna be a really good season, without a doubt. But with that concludes the Crown division. We have one more division left to go. All right, we have the Fire division to finish off with as well. Anthony has had to go off. He had some work to do, being an adult and whatnot. So I will continue on this video solely by myself. Nice and fun. We have Anders and the Ayrshire Scythers up next. He's got the Ursaluna Blood Moon, the Skeledirge, Latias, Kleavor, Dondozo, the Zoroark, the Galarian Slowbro, the Vikavolt, Pawmot, the Meganium, and the Granbull. His Terra Captains are the Vikavolt with Electric, Ghost, and Steel, and Pawmot with the Electric, Flying, and Ice. So a really, really interesting team here. I do see a bit of a ground weakness right off the bat. He does have the Levitator in Vikavolt and Levitator in Latias, but overall, he doesn't have and Meganium as a resist, but Meganium is not the best resist in the universe, so not ideal. But overall, I think this team looks really, really solid. Latias has a lot of potential, a lot of setup potential. Same as Skeledirge, being unaware as well as super, super good for it because it's very bulky. Blood Moon is crazy busted. It's so strong. Having that built-in Scrabby as well as being able to land all of its attacks is really, really strong. Kleavor with the Stone Axe is really good. Dondozo, another unaware mon. He's packing double on his team, so you can't really set up and sweep against Anders at all. That's a really, really solid, hard to break team. Granbull with Intimidate as well keeps things kind of mitigated, and he's got the regen with the Slowbro as well. It's really, really good stuff across the board. 2 Electric-type Terra Captains is very interesting. I'm intrigued to see what the thought process is there. Very much surprised by that decision, but I'm sure there's some justification for it. Vikavolt is incredibly strong. It hits like a truck. And with potential webs is also really, really good to have. Being able to turn itself into a spin blocker with the Terra Ghost I really like. And Terra Steel is really, really has been shown to be strong for it in the past. And then the Pawmot hits like a truck. Terra Electric allows it to double shock more than once, which is really, really good. And then Terra Flying, dodging those ground types, and Ice to help with ground types as well is really, really good stuff. I think this team's really, really scary. Zoroark, I can see a lot of potential for Zoroark to maybe disguise itself as a Pawmot, disguise itself as a Latias or something like that, to kind of capitalize on what they might be clicking against it. Get some sneak kills off with that as well. Just a really, really solid team. I think speed-wise, the fastest being the Laios at 110. Obviously, it would be nice to have something a lot faster. But I think with the webs and stuff, that kind of helps mitigate that issue a little bit. But I think overall his speed tiers are decently well balanced outside of that. So not too bad with that. I think overall this team's really, really good. I think I can see a lot of good things with this team. I can see some... I can see a lot of scenarios where this team can very much just sit there and kind of chill. Some good Firewire Grass Core. Good Fairy Dragon Steel as well. Oh, wait, did I miss? No, I did miss. No Steel type. So it's kind of... No, there is no Steel type. Okay, Steel type is Terra Steel Thickavolt. So not ideal with that. I think overall this team's good. I think this team's has a lot of potential. I could see this being a high-end B+, low-end A- kind of team. Anders is a really good player, so I very much expect to see him do incredibly well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how he utilizes it going forward. Moving on, we have our other D-League promote. We have Brittany and the Baldwin of Excaliburs rocking out a team of Annihilate, Volcanion, Hydrapple, Enamorous Therian, Blastoise, Clodsire, Uxie, Terra Orthworm, Terra Zebstrika, Komala, and Mighty Enna. So, very, very solid team. Very, very fun-looking team here. Annihilate, obviously, you get extra bonus points for having Annihilate because it's my favorite Pokemon of all time, by far. So, kudos to you for that one, Brittany. Nicely done. Volcanion plus Hydrapple is a really, really solid core here. Blastoise also being a good alternate water type here. So that Volcanion can focus on playing the role of a fire type here. Plus, having the removal with that is really, really good. Orthworm is a great Terra captain. Being able to have that ground immunity, being able to go Terra Electric and have no weaknesses whatsoever is really, really strong. Also, being able to go Ghost, so you can dodge those fighting types, is really, really solid. I really like that. Zebstrika with the flying and water, both really, really good Terra types for it. Water being the best defensive Terra, and then obviously flying to dodge ground type offense is really, really solid. I do love Mia Komala every time. Komala is so good. Mighty Enna is an interesting pick. No other dark type on the team, so I can maybe see that being a just cover your typing kind of thing, but also having access to the Intimidate. It's a decently okay stat balanced Mon. Has some decent coverage with all the Fangs and stuff. Having Sucker Punch for priority, Super Fang, Trailblades and stuff. I think it can do some things. So I can see scenarios where this Mon might be useful. Good defensive options with Clodsire and Uxie, along with the Orthworm. Very, very hard to break through this team. Very defensive. It's got the regen with the Hydrapple as well. This is a very, very bulky offensive team. It's not fast by any means. Her fastest Mon is the Zebstrika, and then the next fastest is Uxie, who's not particularly known for its speed. That's not ideal, but this team is not meant to be fast. It's very much designed in a bulky offensive kind of way. Things like the Enamorous being super fat but hitting like a truck, Hydrapple doing the same, Volcanion doing the same, Orthworm being able to set up body presses and stuff and be super fat. This team would look like a bulky offense thriller. I think it covers for its weaknesses also really well. I think this team's really, really well constructed. I think Brittany is showing that she's got a knack for this, for sure. I know she has worked with Alan a good bit, so I'm hoping that, and Alan's a really good competitor, so I'm sure he gave her a lot of tips and help to prepare her for this kind of stuff, and I think she's constructed a really, really masterful team here. So I'm very, very excited to see how this team operates, and yeah, good. It's good to have her here. I think this is a solid like A team. I really don't have any like standing issues with it, like any glaring problems. It's got some solid removal. It's got some solid hazard setters. It's a good team, very good team. Nicely done, Brittany. Moving on, we have the return of Liam. And his new team name, the My Hero Milotics, which is a very, very fun name. Very, very fun team name. Huge fan of this. Not sure if you're just calling the Milotic your hero, or if you are referring to My Hero Academia. Either way, good stuff. Shout out to My Hero Academia. I believe the manga's like ending, or is like at its end, which is kind of interesting. It's wild to see that series has finally come to an end. But this team is disgusting. It is gross. We called it out multiple times during the draft, and how we allowed this to happen infuriates me. The fact that this team exists infuriates me. We have the Blaziken, the Galarian Slowking, the Clefable, the Goodra, the Hippowdon, the Skarmory, the Ditto, Umbreon, Chansey, Hisuian Avalugg, and Spidops. His Terra Captains are Umbreon with Dark, Poison, and Water, and the Avalugg with Ice, Fairy, and Ghost. Is there anything else I need to say besides the... This is one of the fattest, most disgusting teams I have ever seen in draft. This is the definition of bulk city. He doesn't need speed because he has Speed Boost Blaziken. His fastest Pokemon on his team is Blaziken. And that's fine. Because the combined, like, the average defensive stats across this team are absurd. Like, he's probably got, like, high 90s on both. And, like, it's only brought down because Chansey's defense sucks. But, like, Avalugg's incredibly defensive. Umbreon's defensive on both ends. Skarmory and Hippowdon are physical walls. Slowking, Goodra, Chansey are special walls. Ditto's stats are probably what brings down the overall the most. Spidops is annoying because it has so many hazard options, plus the option for webs. The Terra Captains are crazy. Umbreon with Dark, Poison, and Water. Poison is an insanely good defensive typing for it, so it can't get toxic or anything, which is insane. And then Water is one of the best defensive typings in the game. Avalugg with Ice, Fairy, and Ghost. Ghost and Fairy both dodge its 4 times fighting weakness, which is really, really good. This team is insane. This team is just absolutely insane. The fact that this team exists is disgusting. I can literally give this team nothing but an A+, because it is the ultimate definition of a stall team. This is designed to be stall, and it has the tools to beat things that would normally beat stall. With the Blaziken being able to set up and sweep, with the Ditto being able to steal opposing teams' boosts to try to set up and sweep. Like, you can't boost up against this team, against the passive mons, because Ditto just kind of beats it. Ditto beats that strategy. And you can't be too passive to try to, like, you can't outstall it because it's too fat. And even if you try to play a more balanced style around it, Blaziken can just set up and sweep through that. So, like, this team's crazy. Liam is probably going to win the championship. I can't see any universe where we can stop him. Jesus Christ. May God have mercy on our souls. Gross. Moving on, so I can stop being depressed that team exists. We have our final coach in Stuart and the New Zealand Nimbles. Our final coach this season. We have him rocking the Iron Valiant, Metagross, Kyurem, Mandibuzz, Arcanine, Pecharunt, Gastrodon, Alomomola, Hisuian Electrode, the Cloth, and the Levani. Very, very solid team. His Terra Captains are the Hisuian Electrode with Electric, Flying, and Ice, and the Levani with the Grass, Fire, and Rock. So, Rock, I like the Terra types right there. Covers for its 4 times weaknesses really well with the Rock for both Fire and Flying, as well as just the Fire for the to cover for its Fire weakness. Good stuff. And then obviously, like, Hisuian Electrodes are really, really good. Flying is good for it. Covers its like bug weakness, which is good. And then Ice to allow it to break through ground types pretty effectively. Alomomola for Wish Pass is really solid. Gastrodon gives it the water immunity. Arcanite can give a fire immunity. Plus Intimidate options is really good. Petrarunt is incredibly physically bulky. It's a really, really solid Pokemon. And like definitely very heavily slept on because of its limited move pool, but I think it has a lot of potential to do incredibly well if played correctly. Metagross is a crazy strong Pokemon. They gave it a lot of buffs this gen with like knockoff and stuff, which is crazy. And Kyurem is always good with like freeze dry and stuff. Mandibuzz is a crazy good defensive option with Defog. I think overall this team is really, really good. Iron Valiant with access to booster energy is really solid. Cloth exists. Regen is kind of fun to see what it can do. I see like some overlap that's not really necessary in a couple areas, but it's not like too devastating. The webs with Levani is going to be kind of a nuisance for them. Hazards wise, you have a lot of things that do set hazards, but your removal being exclusively Mandibuzz's Defog is kind of unfortunate because, like, obviously you want T-Spikes from Petrarunt to stay up. You want webs from Levani to stay up. You don't want to wipe out your own hazards. So, not ideal, so maybe getting like a spinner would make this team really, really good. I think overall this team's like a solid B+. Like, it has a lot of potential. I think 1 or 2 improvements would make this team pretty much broken. So I'm very excited to see what he does with this team going forward. I can see a lot of potential with it. I'm overall like a huge fan of like some of the mons here. So yeah, I think overall this is really, really fun stuff. So with that though, that is going to conclude our draft analysis for Season 20 of Main League. This season we did Paldea decks with all the DLC included, and I think that led to some really crazy strong teams here with all these tiers. Very, very good stuff. I'm overall very excited to see how this turns out. I'm very, very much a big fan of a lot of these teams. Some crazy good teams. I don't think we gave a single C out today between me or Anthony. I think we agreed everything's solid, like B at the very bare minimum, and like that's crazy. This is going to be a really strong season. So look forward to the content going forward. It's going to be a lot of fun stuff. I'm very excited to see where we go with all of it. But that is going to be all for now. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to go check out the D-League video as well. It's a really, really good one. A lot of good teams that are there as well. A lot of people have shown a lot of improvement over the years, so very, very fun with all that. Very, very fun stuff. So let's go ahead and end this one off here. My name is Jeff. I'm the head of the NPBF, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.